You think breaking up with a narcissist means the game is over? Think again. When a narcissistic relationship ends, it's not the final chapter. It's the opening act of their dirtiest, most calculated moves. Today, we're going to expose 7 of the most toxic things narcissists do at the end of a relationship. If you've ever been trapped in this cycle, you probably know the 3 infamous phases: love bombing, devaluation, and discard. But what most people don't realize is these phases can loop endlessly. And the discard phase? That's where the gloves come off. Because that's when the smear campaign begins, and it often starts before the breakup even happens. They drop subtle hints to neighbors, friends, co-workers. I'm worried about them. They've been drinking a lot lately. And once it's over, I told you they had a problem. I tried to help. With narcissists, life is black and white. Win or lose. They want the kids on their side, the money in their hands, and your reputation destroyed. It's never about truth. It's about domination. So watch this video all the way through. Learn the 7 dirty tactics they'll use against you and how to rise above them. Subscribe to this channel and hit the bell if you're ready to reclaim your voice, your truth, and your future. Because starting today, you're done playing by their rules. 1. Emotional seduction. When a narcissist senses that you're truly walking away, not just threatening but actually slipping out of their grasp, they don't always explode in rage, at least not at first. Instead, they often turn sweet, and that's the most dangerous move of all, because they know that anger will only push you further. But if they can tap into your nostalgia, remind you of better times, and awaken your hope that maybe they can change, you might hesitate, you might pause. And that moment of hesitation is all they need, just a crack in your resolve, and they're back in. It often starts with a soft message sent at your weakest hour, a song you once loved together, a throwback photo with the caption, "I miss those days." It seems harmless, almost tender, but every word is a hook. And if you respond even just once, you've unknowingly opened the door to a cycle that was never really over. When you don't reply right away, they might shift tactics. "I know I messed up, but do you really not care anymore?" That's not an apology. It's a manipulation wrapped in vulnerability. A way to make you feel guilty for being strong, to second-guess your boundaries, to think you are the one who's being cold. And they know you. They know you're empathetic. That's how they controlled you before, through your kindness, your compassion, your longing for connection. Now they return with the same strategy, dressed in softer clothes, emotional seduction. But they haven't changed, only their tone has. When they say they miss you, it doesn't mean they've grown. They miss the attention supply. They miss the control. They miss the power they had when you cried for them, waited for them, hoped for them. You know, they don't want you. They want the validation they once extracted from you. They want the feeling of winning, because your return means they still have influence, but they haven't lost. And here's the cruelest truth. If you open the door, they will reset the cycle. They'll start love bombing again, promise change, act like someone new. But once you trust again, they'll begin devaluing you, just like before, as if nothing ever happened. That's the cruelty of their game. Your emotions are their favorite weapon. Their tears are not for remorse. They're to make you forget the pain they caused. So when they come back with softness, pause. Put your hand on your heart and ask, do I miss the person who loved me, or just the person I once hoped they could become? Because someone who truly loves you wouldn't let you break in the first place, and they certainly wouldn't weaponize your heart just to reclaim control. Their return is not a sign of love. It's a calculated strategy. And if you don't see through it, you'll step back into the loop. Only this time, you might lose an even bigger piece of your self-worth. But if the sweet talk doesn't bring you back, don't think they'll just walk away. When they realize emotional seduction isn't working, they shift gears fast into something louder, heavier, and relentless. They'll flood you with presence. Texts, calls, unexpected visits. a full-on emotional ambush designed to overwhelm your system and cloud your clarity. And that's exactly what we'll unpack in the next part, emotional flooding, when your silence drives them into madness. 2. Emotional flooding. When a narcissist feels out of control, they don't sit still, they strike. Not with fists, but with emotion, with presence, with pressure. They launch a full-scale emotional attack designed to overwhelm you so completely that you can't think, can't breathe, and can't resist. At first it may come disguised as harmless concern. "Are you okay? I just want to talk." But when you don't reply, the pace quickens. One message becomes 10. One missed call becomes dozens. They text you on every platform. Block them here, they show up there. You shut your door, they appear at your workplace. And if they can't reach you directly, they turn to others, friends, family, co-workers. "I don't know what's going on. I'm just worried about her." It sounds caring, but it's not. It's pressure. It's a calculated move to make others pressure you, to corner you into breaking your silence. To a narcissist, your silence is unbearable. It makes them feel invisible, worthless, and powerless, and that is something they can't tolerate. They need to see you anxious. They need to see you panicking, because if you're calm, it means they've lost their grip, and in their mind, that equals failure. So emotional flooding isn't love. It's not remorse. It's a desperate strategy to hijack your nervous system and invade your mind. They don't want you back out of love. They want to be unforgettable. They want to live in your head. They want every notification to carry their name, every ring to trigger a reaction, every outing to make you look over your shoulder. And when the sweet flooding doesn't work, they shift tone, fast. The concern turns to attack. "You're so heartless. I never thought you could be this cold. Oh, you think you're better than me now." Every word has a single goal: to make you react. Because to a narcissist, even your anger is proof they still matter, that they still have a hold on you, that they still exist inside your emotional space. But here's what they don't want you to know. Reaction is surrender. You don't need to yell to win. Your stillness is what breaks their spell. Your silence, calm, steady, deliberate, drives them to madness, because for the first time, they can't manipulate you with emotion. They scream, and you don't flinch. They appear, and you don't answer. They flood you, and you don't drown. Emotional flooding is the clearest sign that you're finally stepping out of their control, and the more silent you stay, the more frantic they become. Because they don't win through kindness, they win through chaos. So when you choose peace, you've already won. But when emotional seduction and emotional flooding both fail, the narcissist moves to a more dangerous tactic, one that's quiet, subtle, and far more insidious. Planting seeds of doubt. If they can't get you back with love or pressure, they'll try something else. They'll try to make you question yourself, your decisions, your values, your worth. Because if you start doubting yourself, they've already reopened the door. And that's what we'll explore in the next part. How narcissists get inside your head, not to love you, but to paralyze you with self-doubt. 3. Planting seeds of doubt. It starts quietly. Seemingly innocent statements like, "I just think you might be overreacting a bit. Are you sure you're seeing things clearly? Maybe your friends don't really get us the way I do." Each sentence is like a single drop of water, harmless alone, but over time they form a swamp. They don't attack your truth directly. They make you question it, and soon you're the one feeding the doubt. You begin to ask yourself, am I being too rigid? Am I blowing this out of proportion? Could I be the problem? And that's the goal, because when you start turning the blade inward, they don't have to fight anymore. You'll do the damage for them. And when the time is right, they'll step back in, not with force, but with ease. Because you've already lost confidence in your ability to stand firm. Narcissists are experts at using others to validate their manipulation. They'll say, "Even my friends think you're being irrational. My mum said she was always worried about how emotional you get. They paint a picture that everyone sees what you don't, that you're the only one not aware of how wrong you are. This isolates you. And the doubt doesn't stop at the relationship. It seeps into everything. You start questioning your decisions, your instincts, your healing, and worst of all, you start wondering if you even deserve peace, because that's what the narcissist really wants. Not your love, not your forgiveness, but your internal collapse, because someone who still believes in themselves, they can't control. But someone who walks around asking, was it my fault? They can always come back to. This kind of manipulation is hard to detect. It's not loud, it's not aggressive, it's a whisper in the dark. Are you sure? Do you really know what you're doing? Maybe you're hurting yourself. Listen long enough and you'll start to believe it. And by then, they don't have to return, you'll walk back on your own. So be vigilant with these seeds of doubt. They don't come from truth. They come from a narcissist's fear of losing control. And if you can recognize that, you can stop the cycle before it takes root. But if doubt still doesn't bring you back, the narcissist will reach for their oldest weapon, guilt. They'll use your empathy, your kindness, and your heart against you. They'll make you feel guilty for walking away, guilty for protecting yourself, guilty for not appreciating everything they've done for you. And that's exactly what we'll unpack in the next section. How narcissists turn love into a burden and make you feel like the villain even when you're the one who was hurt. 4. Inducing guilt. When the narcissist turns love into a weapon. This tactic doesn't involve screaming. It doesn't require threats. It's subtle but deadly because it's built on the most beautiful parts of who you are. Your empathy, your compassion, your genuine capacity to love. The narcissist knows you're someone who cares. They know you're kind, thoughtful, and don't want to hurt others. They've used that before to get your forgiveness after lying, yelling, or betraying you, and now they'll use it to make you feel guilty for walking away. It starts with gentle-sounding, emotionally manipulative lines like, "I did everything for you, and all you did was walk away. If I was really that bad, why did you love me in the first place? So I don't even deserve a proper goodbye." They don't accuse you directly, they just make you feel like you're the one who caused the pain. In their version of the story, you're not the survivor of abuse, you're the abandoner. And once they see even a flicker of guilt in you, they go further. "I know I wasn't perfect, but I tried. You were the only person who ever made me want to change." It sounds like remorse, but look closely, it's still all about you. If they didn't change, it's because you weren't enough to inspire that change. This is the twisted genius of narcissistic guilt. It makes you question, was I too harsh? Maybe I should have given them another chance. Did I actually hurt them? And suddenly, you're right back in the loop, not as a partner, not as an equal, but as a healer for someone who never takes responsibility for their own healing. Narcissists are masters at replaying beautiful memories, not to cherish them, but to weaponize your heart. They'll say, "I still remember when you stayed up all night listening to me talk about my mum. I still have that scarf you gave me on my birthday. No one's ever done that for me before." Every word is a sugar-coated knife, not to love you, but to make you feel wrong for letting go. And if you have kids, shared finances or long-term commitments, they'll use those too. They'll imply that you're the one who broke the family, that you betrayed your promise, that you abandoned someone you once said you'd love forever. It's all meant to stab directly into your moral identity. They don't need you to love them, they just need you to feel bad enough to stay. But here's the truth, you're not heartless, you're not cruel, you're not wrong for choosing yourself. You're not responsible for fixing someone who refuses to grow. Real love doesn't come with the burden of guilt. Someone who truly loves you wouldn't make you responsible for their wounds. They wouldn't turn love into a weapon that cuts your compassion to pieces. So if you're feeling guilty right now, pause and ask yourself, is this guilt truly mine, or was it planted in me? If that guilt is making you shrink, doubt yourself, or give up your peace, it's not love. It's manipulation. But if guilt still doesn't bring you back, the narcissist will drop the last mask. When sweetness fails and subtle tactics fall short, they turn to emotional brutality. They'll threaten, they'll coerce, they'll use your children, your finances, your secrets, anything they can to gain the upper hand. Because if they can't pull you back with love, they'll drag you back with fear. 5. Threats and coercion. When the narcissist uses fear to pull you back, at this point they no longer pretend to love you. They no longer play the victim. They don't cry. They don't beg. Instead, they threaten you, blatantly, coldly, because when they realize nothing touches your heart anymore, they go for something darker. They strike at your fear. They target what you care about most. Your loved ones, your reputation, your career, your deepest vulnerabilities, the very things you once shared with them in trust. They may threaten to take your children away unless you cooperate, use distorted evidence against you in court, leak private photos or messages online, spread false stories about you to friends, colleagues, or family, sabotage your job, your name, your stability. They don't want reconciliation, they want control. And if they can't have you by their side, they'll settle for destroying you from a distance. What makes this tactic so cruel is that it targets the things you can't easily walk away from. You can survive judgment. You can live with loneliness. But when they threaten your children, your safety, your identity, they know that's where you're most vulnerable. And what gives their threats power? The fact that fear doesn't have to be logical to be real. All it takes is a whisper. If you keep acting like this, don't blame me for what I have to do. And suddenly you're awake at night, heart racing, wondering what they're capable of. If you show them that their threats affect you, they will push harder, because your fear becomes the last source of fuel they have to manipulate you. At this stage, it's not about reasoning with them, it's about protecting yourself. With every resource available, gather documentation, keep communication in writing, consult a lawyer. Lean on trusted friends, therapists, or survivor communities. Narcissists don't threaten because they're powerful. They threaten because they've lost power, and they know you're slipping away for good. Threats are the final act, the last roar of a wounded predator who's been starved of their favorite prey. But you are no longer that prey, because if you've made it this far, you've survived 4 levels of emotional warfare, and now you're standing at the final threshold, true freedom. But for a narcissist, failure is never an option. If they can't control you in silence, they will try to destroy you from the shadows. And that's when they launch the smear campaign. They will twist the narrative, lie to mutual friends, poison your reputation, because if they can't have you, they'll try to make sure no one else stands with you either. And that's exactly what we'll uncover next. The smear campaign, when the narcissist destroys your image just to protect their illusion of being the victim. 6. Smear campaign and isolation, when the narcissist destroys your image to play the victim. In the narcissist's world, there are only 2 roles, the winner or the wounded, and if they can't win, they'll settle for playing the victim, and you, of course, will be painted as the villain. That's when the smear campaign begins, and the painful truth, it likely started long ago, while you were still in the relationship. When you thought things were fine, they were already planting seeds of doubt in others. She's been acting strange lately. He drinks a lot. I'm honestly worried about him. I love them, but sometimes they're just not stable. You thought it was vulnerability, but to them, it was strategy. They were crafting a narrative, layer by layer, so when you finally left, they could flip the switch, and suddenly, it all looked like your fault. They say, I did everything I could, and they just walked away. I begged them to stay until the very end. I even went to therapy because I cared so much, but they were selfish. And because narcissists are master emotional manipulators, they tell their story with the voice of the wounded. They cry. They act heartbroken. They say they tried everything. And outsiders, people who don't know the truth, believe them. You start noticing strange looks, the whispering, friends drifting away, Family growing distant, communities turning cold. That's the goal of a smear campaign, to isolate you, to make you feel alone, to make you question yourself. And, if they're lucky, to make you come back, just to fix your image. But here's what you must remember. They're not smearing you because you're bad. They're smearing you because you left, because you know the truth, because you refuse to play the role they assigned you. Smearing is a desperate attempt to control the story after they've lost control of the person. And for narcissists, image is everything. They can't stand the idea of someone seeing who they really are, so they darken your image first. So what do? You don't defend. You don't chase every rumor. You don't waste your peace trying to correct a lie built on months, even years of manipulation. Silence, once again, becomes your ally. You don't fight with words. You fight with truth in action. Live well. Hold your integrity. And let time, consistency, and your real light expose their shadow. After everything you've endured, the fake love, the emotional ambushes, the doubt, the guilt, the threats, and now the smearing, you might feel like you've been shattered. But the truth is, you're not broken. You're being reborn. And in the final part of this journey, we'll explore exactly that. The real ending isn't in what they did. It's in the moment you finally choose truth, freedom, and yourself. 7. The ending doesn't come from them. It always comes from them. It always comes from you. There's a truth you only understand after walking through the hell of being in a relationship with a narcissist. The finish refers to the inside-out bedroom audio travel suit paralogue. The very ending doesn't come from them. It always comes from you. There's a truth you only understand after walking through. You believed that if you walked away, maybe, just maybe, they would finally realize something, feel regret, wake up, or at least be honest. But no, they never really end things. Because to a narcissist, a relationship is never about love, it's about control. As long as you're still reacting, still hurting, still hoping they'll validate your pain, in their mind, the relationship is alive. And that's what keeps you trapped in the loop, not by chains, but by hope and unresolved pain. But then, one day, you stop waiting. You no longer need the apology. You don't care whether they admit you were right or they were wrong. You don't even need others to understand you. All you want, after everything, is the peace that's been stolen from you for far too long. And that is the true ending. Not when they block you. Not when they move on to someone new. Not even when they smear your name. It's when you finally release the need to be understood. The need to prove yourself. The need to win. You don't win by arguing, explaining, or fighting back. You win when you no longer need them. Not their words, not their reactions, not their presence to define your worth. That you were brave for daring to walk away from something that others couldn't even see was breaking you. You were resilient for standing up after being emotionally torn apart by someone who once promised to protect you. You were mature for learning how to set boundaries and uphold them even when it broke your heart to do so. And most of all, you were strong enough to choose yourself, to choose peace over chaos, to choose clarity over confusion, to choose forward motion over circling the same broken cycle. The narcissist may never change. They'll likely play the same game with someone else. But you are no longer the same. You've seen the truth. You've survived. And now you're free to live without permission, free to feel safe in your own skin, free to build a life where control, fear, and manipulation have no place. If you're hearing these words and see yourself in them, please remember this. The ending isn't failure. It's a return to yourself, to truth, to the worth that was never lost, only buried beneath the weight of pain. The healing journey isn't easy, but it is the most powerful thing you'll ever do. And you are not alone. Keep walking forward, step by step, and let the light inside you lead the way. If this message spoke to you, don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this video with someone who might need it. Someone out there is searching for themselves again, and because of you, they just might find the way. You deserve a life that is peaceful, clear, and whole. And that journey starts with you.